Right now, in almost every medicine cabinet on Earth, there is a pill that did not start in a laboratory. It started in a plant, a flower, a bark, a weed growing by the side of the road. We tend to imagine modern medicine as something invented in gleaming labs by scientists in white coats, and some of it was. But a surprising amount of it was discovered, not invented. The scientists did not create these cures. They found them inside plants that ancient healers had been using for hundreds, sometimes thousands of years. Today we are going to look at 7 plants so powerful that modern science turned them into real prescription drugs. Drugs that doctors prescribe today. Drugs on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines. Drugs that have saved hundreds of millions of lives. This is not folklore. This is not a health trend. This is the documented origin of the medicine in your bathroom cabinet. This is educational content, not medical advice. And one warning before we begin, that matters more here than in any other video. Several of these plants are dangerous. A few are deadly. They became safe medicines only because scientists learned the exact compound and the exact dose. So, this is not a list of things to try. It is the story of where our medicine came from. Never use any of these plants yourself. Welcome to the green domain, where ancient wisdom meets modern science. Let us begin. Number 1. The willow tree and aspirin. We start with the most famous example of all. For thousands of years, healers across the ancient world used the bark of the willow tree to bring down fever and ease pain. The ancient Egyptians recorded it. The Greek physician Hippocrates prescribed willow bark for pain and fever around 400 BC. For most of human history, nobody knew why it worked. They only knew that it did. Then, in the early 1800s, scientists isolated the active compound in willow bark. They called it salicin. The body converts salicin into salicylic acid, which relieves pain and inflammation, but which is harsh on the stomach. So, in 1897, a chemist at the Bayer Company in Germany modified that compound into a gentler form. He called it aspirin. Aspirin became one of the most widely used medicines in human history. It is still on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines today. And it began with a tree and an observation repeated across the entire ancient world. Number 2, foxglove and your heart medicine. The foxglove is a tall, beautiful flowering plant with bell-shaped blooms. It is also extremely poisonous. In the 1770s, an English doctor named William Withering was treating a patient with severe fluid buildup caused by a failing heart. He expected the patient to die. Instead, the patient recovered after being treated by a local folk healer with a secret herbal remedy. Withering tracked down that healer and studied her recipe. The active ingredient was the foxglove. Over the following years, he carefully worked out how to use this dangerous plant safely, in tiny, controlled doses. From foxglove came the heart medicines digoxin and digitoxin, which strengthen and steady a failing heart. Digoxin is still used today. The foxglove is so potent that the wrong dose can stop a heart. But the right dose, worked out by careful science, became a life-saving treatment drawn straight from a folk healer's garden. Number 3, the opium poppy and morphine. The opium poppy is one of the oldest medicinal plants known to humanity. For thousands of years, across the ancient world, it was used to relieve pain and bring sleep. The ancient physicians knew its power, and they knew its danger. In 1804, a young German pharmacist isolated the main active compound from opium. He named it morphine, after Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams. This was a turning point, not just for pain relief, but for science itself. Morphine was one of the first pure compounds ever isolated from a plant. It remains one of the most important and powerful painkillers in all of medicine, used for severe pain, and on the list of essential medicines. But the poppy's gift is inseparable from its danger. The same compounds that relieve agony are deeply addictive. No plant shows more clearly that the most powerful medicine and the gravest danger can grow from the very same flower. If you are finding this fascinating and you want the real history of medicine told accurately, without the hype, take a moment to subscribe. It genuinely helps, and we have more stories like this coming. Number 4. Cinchona bark and quinine. For most of human history, malaria was one of the deadliest diseases on Earth. And for most of human history, the world had no defense against it. The defense, when it finally came from a tree. The indigenous peoples of South America, in the region of the Andes, knew that the bark of the cinchona tree could ease fevers. In the 17th century, this knowledge reached Europe, and the bark became a sensation because it could do something almost no other remedy could. It treated malaria. In 1820, 2 French scientists isolated the active compound and named it quinine. For over a century, quinine was the world's primary weapon against malaria, saving countless lives and changing the course of history. It is still on the list of essential medicines today. And there is a curious legacy. The bitter taste of quinine in tonic water and the classic gin and tonic began as a way for people in malaria regions to take their daily medicine. Number 5. The Madagascar periwinkle and a childhood cancer breakthrough. This one may be the most important story in this video. The Madagascar periwinkle is a modest little flower, pink or white, native to the island of Madagascar. In traditional medicine, it was used as a folk remedy, including for diabetes. In the 1950s, scientists began studying the plant precisely because of that traditional reputation. They were looking for a new diabetes treatment. They did not find one. What they found instead was something far more important. The plant contained compounds with a powerful ability to stop cells from dividing, and therefore to halt the runaway division of cancer cells. From this humble flower came 2 of the most important chemotherapy drugs of the 20th century, vincristine and vinblastine. The impact was historic. Before these drugs, a child diagnosed with the most common childhood leukemia had only a small chance of survival. After vincristine became part of treatment, the survival rate for that childhood cancer rose to around 90%. A modest flower from Madagascar, once dismissed as a simple folk remedy, became one of the great cancer-fighting medicines in history. Number 6. Sweet wormwood and a Nobel Prize. This story is so remarkable that it earned a Nobel Prize, and it happened within living memory. Sweet wormwood is a feathery green herb used in traditional Chinese medicine for roughly 2,000 years, mainly for fevers. In the 1960s, malaria was once again killing huge numbers of people, and the parasite had grown resistant to existing drugs. A Chinese scientist named Tu Youyou was given the task of searching traditional medicine for a new treatment. She and her team combed through thousands of ancient texts and old remedies. Sweet wormwood looked promising, but the results were frustratingly inconsistent. Then she found the clue in a medical text more than 1,600 years old. The old instructions said to prepare the herb by soaking it in cold water, not by boiling it. She realized that heat was destroying the active compound. By extracting it at a low temperature, she succeeded in isolating it. That compound became the most effective anti-malarial drug in the world and the global frontline treatment for malaria. It has saved many hundreds of thousands of lives, especially children in Africa. In 2015, Tu Youyou was awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine, the first ever given for a discovery drawn directly from traditional medicine. A 1,600-year-old instruction, preserved in an ancient text, became a modern miracle. Number 7. The Pacific yew and a breakthrough cancer drug. Our final plant is a slow-growing evergreen tree of the Pacific Northwest, called the Pacific yew. For a long time, this tree was considered a trash tree by loggers, cleared and discarded as worthless. Then, in a massive screening program, scientists tested thousands of plants for any compound that might fight cancer. In the bark of the Pacific yew, they found one. The compound became a chemotherapy drug that works in a way unlike almost any other, freezing the internal scaffolding that cancer cells need in order to divide. It became a vital treatment for breast, ovarian, lung, and other cancers, and it sits on the list of essential medicines. There is a deep irony here. The yew tree has been linked to death in human culture for centuries, often planted in graveyards, and yet, From this tree of the churchyard came a medicine that has extended countless human lives. So let us step back. The willow that became aspirin, the foxglove that steadies the heart, the poppy that became morphine, the bark that cured malaria, the flower that fights childhood leukemia, the ancient herb that won a Nobel Prize, the graveyard tree that fights cancer. 7 plants, 7 medicines, every single one sitting in pharmacies and hospitals right now. This is the real reason we study the ancient pharmacy, not because old remedies are magic. Many old remedies did nothing at all. But woven through that ancient knowledge was a thread of genuine, verifiable, life-saving truth. The healers found these plants by watching and remembering across thousands of years. Modern science took what they found, isolated it, purified it, and made it safe. The plant and the pill are not enemies. They are 2 chapters of the same story, and that story is still being written. Somewhere in a forest we have not finished studying, the next aspirin, the next cancer drug, may be growing right now. One more time, because it matters. None of these plants is a home remedy. They became medicines only through the precision of science. But the next time you take a simple aspirin, remember, you are holding the living legacy of the ancient pharmacy, refined by modern hands, but rooted in the patient wisdom of healers who lived thousands of years ago. Ancient wisdom, modern proof, real results. I will see you in the next one.